their time and their resources than they actually like the person. And I hate to say it, but when you cover so many videos where this is what you hear, it's hard to kind of be unbiased towards it, even though I know it's a back and forth thing. I just hate that this is even where we are. But
I was just giving her a summary so she knows what's going on.
gotcha. I'm trying to figure out what it is.
I wonder if it's her headphones because sometimes I have issues with my sometimes like my headphones don't like to connect and but I'm not sure. I feel bad. She seems so sweet.
Yeah, we were supposed to do a sound check before this, but I should have waited. I mean, look, why is this even a thing in the first place? Uh, because there's so many cases where you have people complaining and bragging and boasting and getting online and making these TikTok videos about how they got one dude for dinner only. They got him labeled in their phone as lunch, or they got them labeled as breakfast, or whatever the case may be, and they talk about how he's a nice guy and this, that, and the third, but they don't romantically see nothing further going on with them and things like that. And it's like, why are you boasting and bragging about that online as if it's something to flex about? Because what you're really saying is he really doesn't have any value to you, or he doesn't really mean anything to you more than what he can spend. That makes the outsider looking in look at you like, well, if this is how you're gonna treat me, then I gotta start treating you according to how you are treating me. And then you just get men and women who are trying to run game on each other to see who can get out of who faster, what they can get out of the other person. Sometimes it ends up with the man beating her to the punch. Sometimes it's her beating him to the punch. I just think it's all senseless. Why aren't you guys just, I don't know, actually oh, you can hear us now? All right, cool. Why you just can't actually, I don't know, get to know the person, you know? She says she can hear us now. I'll bring you back up once you got your cam back up. Oh, okay, all right. Hold on, I'm gonna bring you up. Hold up. Check.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Good.
Did you get it? You get a chance to catch any of this?
I heard first part of the clip, and then I heard a first few sentences from Sydney, and then I just heard what you had said yourself.
I'm gonna bring it back up on the big screen and run it back. Um, 1 second. Da, da, da. Let me see. Where is it? This one. All right, here it is. Uh, I'm gonna run it back and then I'm gonna give it to you.
Think that men have also been so jaded in the sense where they feel like everything is so transactional that now we live in a prostitution era. I bought you dinner, I get to have sex. No. And this way, when you go to a coffee shop for a date, or you go to the bookstore for a date, or you go feed the geese for a date, whatever it is that you want to do that costs $50 or less, unless you're the type of man that really loves steakhouses. And this is just what you do. And you're inserting a girl here. Now, if you are the type of man that's actually interested in getting to know a woman is actually interested in getting to know you, stop spending money on her. And if she tells you she doesn't want to go out with you because it's going to take energy and time and all of these things, she doesn't like you. She doesn't like you. She doesn't want you. She wants what she can get from you. And I think that men need to get privy to the fact that if that woman asks you for anything, ghost her. I didn't ask you to have kids. Those kids are not my responsibility. That's on you. I think that men have also been so.
Okay. There it is. Now we can try this again. Sarah, you got the floor.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Your initial thoughts on the clip.
See, when I hear that, that's straight like expectation.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, it's expectations. I'm hearing from what she's saying, like not.
Oh yeah, this is we hear you, but it's choppy, it's in and out. So if you're talking right now, we can't hear nothing.
No.
I just heard you.
Okay, cool. We're good now?
Yeah.
Okay. Listening to her straight off the bat, the guy, there's an expectation and there's a lot of pressure on the girl, in a sense of like, in a girl's mind, let's get to know each other. I want to know what you're about. But then a guy, he's like, nah, let's just make this, unfortunately short and sweet. Let me see how far I can take this. And it can, which it does. It usually gets messy as well, especially this is a first date. She's talking about a first date, first meeting. Oh, yeah. The expectations is way too high. You know what I mean? If it's going to be like that, he should just go to a bar or he should just go to a club. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But hey, everyone has their own motives these day and age, unfortunately.
So here's my thing. If it is a first date, then you shouldn't be charging or requiring someone, especially a guy, to spend $200-$300 to get to know you. Getting to know someone that costs that much money. You know what I'm saying? And you can have a good date just taking a walk. I don't know what it is about this generation these days where they feel like you have to go to some extravagant restaurant in order to find out what type of person they are. honestly, if I'm being frank, I don't even think that it's really about that. I think it's about flexing. I think it's about trying to look good for the gram. Uh, it really doesn't have anything to do with sifting out good and bad qualities in the other person, which is probably one of the reasons why if a guy does look at that in that way, it's like, well, if you charging me all this money, how how can you really say you like me if you really expect me to spend all of this bread? Because I don't think anybody who's into another person really cares how much money they spend on a first date.
Yeah, I agree. I agree a certain, to a certain extent, like, the anticipation, the whining and dining. Yes, it is, and it can be, an expensive night or expensive meal. You don't need to be spending that much if it's just, a first date, you know. Um, as I said, you could just make it short and sweet and just meet, on at a bar, you know what I mean, and just do the happy hour. If in that kind of sense, like, yeah, good for them, if they can do, the wine and dine at that expense or at that, price tag, as such, you know. Yeah, to me, I still think it's the expectations is way too high. You know what I mean? Because he's like, well, I'm paying all this money. I expect this. And it just sends off the wrong signals and, just sends off the wrong message.
I think that goes both ways though, right? Because why how why do you expect me to spend all this money? And the odds of like you'll have a whole roster of men that you go out with right after me, but you want me to spend all this bread.
Yeah.
So all right, you expect me to spend $200-300 at Ruth Chris. Why shouldn't I expect something in return?
Yeah. Yeah. I see what you mean and where you're coming from on that. But yeah, let me ask you the question. What, this day and age, do you think it could be the female asking the guy out, or do you think it's the guy asking the girl out?
I guess women don't ask men out.
I know.
And then even if they do, they still expect the man to pay for everything anyway. I like I I'm not that. I'm old school. I grew up where if I ask you out, I'm going to plan a date. I'm going to do all that, you know. But see, I'm trying to actually get to know the person. I'm not thinking about sex or nothing like that off the bat. I want to know if you are here for the right reasons or not. I want to know if we connect. If you ask me out in this day and age, yeah, you better be coming up with half or something.
Yeah, I was thinking that was my next question. What happens, why don't we just go Dutch? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe, as I said, I out and about, if I'm wine and dine, I always tend to offer. And I've had different conversations with different girls, and girls are like, no, make the men pay for it all. And I'm just like, in my mind, it's like, it doesn't sit well with me. But it depends who you ask, and, age bracket, depending on the girls, depending on the guys. Yeah, as I said, I've always been, let's just go 50-50, in that kind of sense. Now, if he insists, okay, fine. I would offer to tip, in that sense, and it'll be like a good chunk or a good substantial amount. You know what I mean? since he's paid all the meal in that sense.
I think there's also kind of a cultural aspect to it as well. Kind of like what you were saying about it being like a clout type thing, like showing off, look what I got this man to buy me, and look at this restaurant he took me to. Because prior to the 60s, dating was not really the same. More women would court instead, where they would basically like they'd be seeing multiple people, but it was very casual. Like they'd go out to the movies, they'd hang out at the park, they'd do things, but it wasn't laden with any expectations, and it wasn't like we're together to eventually get married. It was more so like I'm experimenting with a bunch of different people to see who might be a good fit for me. And if they found somebody that really aligned with them and their life direction, their goals, their personality, then they would go steady and be officially like dating. And it was like it came more in phases, but I think now it seems like the dating sphere has been punctuated almost, where we hear stories all the time where they meet and 3 months later they're married, or or we're hearing people's modern version of courting where they're actually sleeping around without any intent of actually getting with anybody. And I think there's also an aspect to it of it kind of being a unexpected symptom of women's liberation, where now in the same way that like people get overwhelmed in a grocery store with options and they just like buy whatever on the shelf looks interesting. I feel like some of it has to do with like now women have infinite options. They can date whoever they want. They can date whenever they want. They can date or not. And so with those expanded options, they don't know what they want at all. They just like kind of go off of the societal expectations rather than being actually cognizant of what they want for themselves. And I think also we live in such a busy society in the sense that like we're addicted and we're overwhelmed, we're distracted, we're on social media all the time, we're constantly comparing ourselves to other people, other people's lives. We have like people used to like it was almost unheard of to see the inside of somebody else's house unless you were friends. But nowadays, like people, I mean, we just saw an episode, we just did an episode last week about people showing off how filthy their houses are. Like people are just showing whatever they want. And when you have that constant comparison, you kind of think like, I'm not getting that. What's wrong with me? Like, what am I doing wrong? And so I think it's kind of a combination of people having done no introspection, people not having guidance from their own parents and not having good relationships to look up to. We have social media and TV shows showing us these crazy dysfunctional relationships that still somehow work out. And so they have this like delusion that, well, even if he like, I've seen videos of people talking about like he might be abusive, but I love him and I'm going to convert him and change him and whatever. Like people are not right in the mind when it comes to how they see relationships. And I don't blame them. Like we do not have very good examples of relationships anymore. And with our like short attention spans, our access to dating sites across the board, and just the interest in like clubbing and drinking and sex and all that fun stuff, we don't really have a very good framework for a positive relationship. And so it's just kind of more of a everything's become a fling. It's whatever you feel in the moment rather than actually getting into a relationship with a goal. Because I've noticed the difference between my friends that got married, had kids, have a stable relationship, and the people that don't. Those are the ones that are in those stable relationships. They went into the relationship knowing exactly what they wanted. They knew they wanted kids. They had a specific timeline. They knew what they wanted in a man. They were willing to overlook like what's popular nowadays. They went for what works for them. And those are the successful relationships. The ones that are not successful were the ones that they went out, they met a guy at the club, they met a guy at the party, they got along, and then within a couple months they were married, and then within a couple years they were divorced, or even less. So yeah, I think it's a whole collection of factors, like how parents are raising kids nowadays, the influence of social media and the exposure to everyone else's lives, the TV shows that we have out there promoting like wild relationships as being normal, and then this whole like short attention span. We want what we want right now. We have to get it right now, making people make hasty decisions instead of actually factoring in what would actually make them happy and stable. And then also, I think the last component too is the economy. With how bad the economy is, people are struggling to make ends meet. And a lot of people are like, I don't want to have to deal with somebody else's needs. I can barely afford my own needs. I'm not taking on children and a relationship. And so it just becomes this like, whoever can spend the most money on me, I'm cool with. But if you can't give me anything, I'm not interested, because I'm not about to drag along somebody else who I also can't afford to support. So yeah, it's a whole problem.
I want to real quick, and I'm gonna give it to you, Sarah. I wanted to answer Honey Edwards, because I believe that question was towards me. A meal at any restaurant money does not define the character of a person. Your body does not make you a good person. You can have the most distinguished physique ever. If your heart ain't right, if your mind is not right, it don't really make a difference. I can have a picnic and have a great time. I can cook and have a good time. I do not need to go to a fancy restaurant, whether or not it's $60 or $20, to enjoy the company of someone else. See, because I'm not going with the intentions on trying to show off for social media. I'm not intending to have my phone in my hands the entire time I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
I want eye contact. I want to know if you are a great friend. I want to know if you are a horrible sister or whatever. You know, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't got time to be seeing who's clicking, reposting, and sharing all of our adorable shots of our food. That's crazy. That's how you can tell when people are doing things for the wrong reasons. And, you know, Sydney said a lot there, and she's 100% accurate. Sarah, you said a lot earlier that I thought was 100% accurate as well. My whole thing with what the host had said was basically you have a woman that's telling men, look, it's time for you to start to set boundaries. And really it goes both ways. But I know it's not going to happen that way. If you don't have the intentions on actually getting to know the person because you're attracted to them, then you shouldn't be bothered trying to have them take you out. And what I was talking about was there's an expectation that women have. Not all of them. Let me put that out there. It's not all of them. There's an expectation that men are supposed to just automatically do a laundry list of things just to sit across from someone that they may or may not ever see again. But the woman only has to show up looking pretty, probably won't even give you 100% effort, and you're still supposed to foot everything. And you should, men, just shut up. I don't care how much it costs. You just pay for my clothes, pay for my hair, pay for my food. I'm not going to give you a great personality. I'm not going to give you a good time on this date. I'm just going to sit here, look pretty, and give me my doggy bag. I go home. That's what it's coming off as. And we're trying to prevent that. Like, women don't want to be used. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in reciprocity. I mean, in terms of you give what you get. If that's how y'all want to play the game, y'all do that. I personally, I would rather not deal with you than actually engage with someone who is out for a meal, a free meal. Like, if I don't like you, why am I going to hang out with you? Like, men can like a woman. No, a man can not like a woman but still be sexually attracted to her. It don't go that way in reverse. So for me personally, I'm not even about to waste my time with that. If I take anybody on a date, I'm already thinking, all right, I'm about to find out who you really are. Let's do something simple. And then I'll get my answer. I'm gonna know right then and there who you are. I'm not about to play around with you. I'm not gonna waste my time and you're not gonna waste mine. I yield the mic. Sarah, you got it.
Yeah. Like, you had some really good, valid points as well, because, it's, you think of it like on both sides. From a man's point of view, you look at it as like, why should I be footing? Why should I fit the bill? You know what I mean? It's just, you're like, you're like, you want me to spend all this and then you're going to give me attitude? You know what I mean? That's when I'm just like, no, that's when I feel for the guy. But then from a girl's point of view, depending on the type of lady or the type of woman, some will pay half and half. Some will actually, just expect the guy to pay. But as I said, look, just, to avoid all that, just keep it simple. That expression, KISS, keep it stupid simple, like in a sense of, okay, let's just meet up for a coffee, or let's just, meet up, at a bar, and, if we gel, an hour or two, a drink or two, depending on the conversation, opposed to sit there for a few hours. Then it gets too expensive. And then a girl's probably like, oh, I want to get out of here. But a guy's probably like, oh, I'm going to get some tonight. It's just, it's just a lot's going on in someone, like, especially people's mind, this day and age. Like, and it's interesting how what you said too, Sydney, how, like, depending on how you're brought up, depending on where you've been schooled or educated, have you traveled? I don't want to say this, but it's going to be realistic. Like, the state of the economy, like, everyone's hurting. Businesses are hurting, families are hurting. The hipsters, or any of the singles that, they don't have that disposable income as what we used to have. You know what I mean? Think of that. Like, I just know, just driving around, or seeing, like, the businesses or the places that I used to go, they're just not there anymore. And I'm just like, what? When did this happen? What happened? When did this go down? Like, I'm just like, I just happened to stumbled or walk past it or drive past it. And it's hurtful, because it's hurting them. It's going to obviously hurt us. They need us and we need them. And if it's not working, like I said, like, if we don't have, funds, or we don't have the money to spend, we close up shop, and that's what's happening. I just know, I had a neighbor of mine. He worked in and no, well, hopefully he was in the entertainment, but he was in the restaurant business. He ended up leaving. He left. He packed, LA. He goes, that's it. I'm done. I'm out. I'm going back to South Carolina. I went, whoa. He goes, well, yeah. Think about it. We've gone through a pandemic. I'm still a firm believer. We still haven't fully recovered from that. And then if you're in the entertainment world, that took a big hit. That I can't emphasize that, that, and then if you're from California, from LA, the fires, you know what I mean? So that was a triple whammy in such a short period of time. You know what I mean? We really didn't have time to even come up for air. And then when I saw him packing, and like I said, he worked 2 jobs, and that was a rude awakening for me, in a sense of like the direction of the restaurants, or the direction of businesses, the direction of the entertainment world, how just people are just hurting, people are suffering. And then like the bars and the clubs, it used to be packed, happy hours, I don't know about you guys, but I used to like going out on a school night. Those are the best times, you know what I mean? Because there was no one there. But then you'll find the ones who are entrepreneurs or have their own businesses, they can go out on a school night, you know what I mean? And just pay everything cash. So, as I said, it's just this, a man paying for a meal, it's a lot. A female expecting that's, to me, that's a lot. You know what I mean? Just any common courtesy, or just even let's just go 50-50. You know what I mean? Let's just be fair. But then again, I've always been one to kind of I don't like putting people out. You know what I mean? And I don't want it to get funny or feel funny, or I don't want no expectations. And as I said, I'm not afraid to put my card out. Okay, it doesn't matter. Put it on the credit card. I'll deal with it later, in that kind of sense. But yeah, it's just, there's so many areas and so many factors, where you can look at. And yeah, I don't even want to know what it's like out and about now, if that makes sense. Like just driving around, and like even today, I was like, that closed down? I don't think this was busy. This was like, yeah. But anyway, it's just how it is. It's just how it is these days.
I've watched videos in recent months that have talked about that, how if you go to cafes, to restaurants, even like the busy hotspots, like on Fridays and Saturdays, they're empty. People are not going because, I mean, even if if I get a meal out for my 2 kids, myself, my husband, it's easily going to be $100 or more. And that's for like a sandwich, which I remember when I was a kid, we would get sandwiches and it would be like $8 to $15, depending on how much you put on it. But now it's easily like $25, $30. Like there's so many things that are wildly expensive that, as I've heard talked about a lot, we're losing our third places. Like people you can't even hang out at parks anymore because they make them unfriendly to sit on. So homeless people can't use them. Like cafes don't want you to sit there too long. And they, you can't really hang out at restaurants like you used to. And all of these places that people used to have as like a whole group of friends, and we all go hang out there. We all go, we go on a date, double date, whatever. Like it's just becoming not feasible for them to use those locations anymore. And so it kind of takes the fun out of dating too, because if you're like, oh, we can't just go to the fair and have cheap fun. Now you have to expect to pay like $200 just to go ride some roller coasters for a few hours. Like there's just not very many accessible things unless you're in the wealthy tax bracket. And even people there are starting to pull back. Like I've seen warnings from Costco, from Walmart, from McDonald's. All of them are saying the low income earners are no longer shopping at those locations. They're canceling their subscriptions. They're not coming in the way that they used to. And the high income earners are now starting to pull back as well. They found recent, just this morning, I saw a report how the highest income earners are now switching from beef to tuna as their main source of protein, because it's so abysmal right now that tuna is now the preferred source of meat and protein because it's the cheapest thing that people can afford. Like, they're even foregoing chicken in some respects. So it makes it not very worth it to even date too. So it makes sense why people would have these flings, because they're like, I don't want to have this obligation to go out every Friday night or whatever. Especially because in this society we're so like ritualistic, where if we show off one cool date, then we have to up the ante, and the next date has to be even cooler. And if you have those kind of costs hanging above your head, like, I'm not going to do that for you. That's like half my paycheck, and then you're spending the majority on your rent and utilities anyways. So yeah, it's just, I'm so glad that I'm married and don't have to deal with any of this stuff. Like, I feel bad for some of my friends that are still dating and trying to find a decent person, especially because a lot of people on those apps nowadays are not, no offense to anyone who is, but like, a lot of people on those apps are just in it for the fling. Like, they're not on there because they're trying to get married. They're on there so they can see how many people they can get. So even the sources of dating are kind of garbagey now.
All three of you have said, and I'm talking about Honey Edwards in the comments. I appreciate your feedback and sharing. I just want to address a couple things. You know, the biggest conflict here is you have a mixture of people like us who still cling on to the old way versus a generation who is led and ran by the glamorization of social media lifestyle. People standing in front of jets that they rent for 2 hours. They don't own it. They just use it for a few. And you got people who are taking pictures of things that they Googled, they screenshot, save it, and then blast it on their social media. You think they cooked it. You ain't cooked none of that shit. Stop it, nigga. People, it's like you can't get anywhere trying to mix your ideologies in with someone who is indoctrinated by this overly hyped, oh, you got to do this in order to be here, or it ain't going to work. It's not. It ain't. I mean, that's what it boiled down to. And nobody has respect for the economy or the dollar bill at all. I'm with Honey Edwards. Hey, let's go get a coffee. I drink tea, hot chocolate, you know. Let's do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be, I would rather cook. This is me. I will cook a big pot of spaghetti that lasts me for 3-4 days before I go out and spend money on food that has probably been tampered with. I do too many reaction videos to trust the food that's out here these days anyway. Most of the food is not healthy anymore. The employees are crappy. They do some of the most egregious stuff behind the scenes that you would throw up in your mouth if you saw it. So it's like, not to mention you eating from plastic and metal utensils that somebody already had ate from. They just keep washing them over and over again. That has to be the most unhygienic thing ever. But that's a pet peeve of mine. I ain't trying to run nobody off from it. I'm just saying, nah. You got it, sir. My bad.
Yeah, no. But it's true though. Like you think about it, like, you know, I'm all about the happy hour. I haven't done a happy hour in a while. And when I did, I thought, okay, let me just go out. And it was so crazy that, you know, kick the, or start the weekend or blow off the week that I had. And it was so crazy. What threw me is, like I said, I haven't been for a while. So I thought, why not? It's been a while, treat yourself. And I was just observing, looking around. I shouldn't say this, but I always bring my laptop. So I'm like, okay, fine. Let me do some work while I'm drinking and answering emails. Not a good thing to do, but I did it anyway. And what really, I'm going to be honest right now, what really pissed me off is that I tipped her, but she already included the tip in the bill. And I asked her, I go, have you, and she's like, no. And then I obviously gave her a cash tip. And I kind of looked and went, oh, whoa, that's not good. You know what I mean? I just walked out. I haven't been back ever since. And I was just like, what's this about? I'm asking a question and you just point blank lied to my face, like in that kind of sense. Like I was prepared to give you a tip anyway. But, I'm more of a principle of the matter. But, and then, like I said, like it was only a few drinks, which it was Grubhub kind of, blah, blah, blah. And, the atmosphere and the environment, I take all that in consideration, but I could just looking around, people weren't even happy. They weren't even having fun. I go, damn, oh my gosh. Okay. You should have just stayed home. That was another like an eye opener for me, because I was like, look, hey, you're supposed to mingle, talk, small talk, blah blah blah, but it just wasn't happening. And I just thought, okay, it is for what it is, in that sense. But it's true though, because you don't know the state of the kitchen, or you don't know the state of the utensils, or how clean the glasses are, or even, I shouldn't say this, even when a few bars where I've, oh my gosh, seen them where they're like, not that I throw it out, and I'm just like, did he just put that back in the bottle? You know what I mean? I just kind of was like, but this was late in the evening, you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, fine. So I was drinking, I was a little tipsy, so I was like, okay, fine. But as I said, you just don't know how long things have been on the shelf. You don't know how long things are been in the refrigerator. You don't know how long it's been out, like even if it's been out all day, in that sense. Yeah, and then, it's easy to kind of coat it or recook it, you know what I mean? Or, put a little more dressing on it, or, cover it up and, and just go serve it. And you're just like, okay, this doesn't taste right. Something's not right here, in that kind of sense. And then, you make a complaint, or you say something, and then it's like you get in trouble for it. so it's like you can't win, just like, in that sense. But I've always been, home cooking is the best cooking in that sense. What you're cooking, you always can go back for second, thirds. You always tend to have leftovers. And it's always fresh. And always the second day, third day is always better than the first day. But yeah, so it's just, it all depending on the individual, depending on where you are, like, location wise, like living wise. Yeah, it's just, money talks at the end of the day. You know what I mean? It's just how it is. You know what I mean? It's just, you can go to a high-end restaurant and you better hope that you're going to get the good service, and you better hope you get the best of everything. You know what I mean? But who's to say? What are we really eating? What are we really drinking? You know what I mean? Because as you know, they like to mark everything up and just, we just fought the bill. So, yeah.
Speaking of,
I was going to say, if you want quality too, you're going to have to pay for it through the nose.
Yes.
Like the nicest restaurants that are genuinely clean, that have good quality service, good quality food, those are going to be very, very expensive. Otherwise, you're going to be getting quality like Quiznos and McDonald's, basically.
Yeah. And then I don't know if you noticed too, it's like the sizing portions have shrunk, but we're paying double. That's what kind of threw me. I was like,
Even in the grocery stores too.
Yes.
Like people are showing food comparing like in 2022 I bought this food and then in 2025 I bought the food and it's like noticeably smaller but the same exact price. And then now with dynamic pricing that a bunch of stores are starting to do, where if people are buying a commodity more, then they use the digital tag so they can increase the price throughout the day. So people that come later in the day are being charged more for the food because it's more in demand. And then also online, they track what you're buying, and if you come back to buy something frequently, they'll increase the price on you gradually because they know that you're going to come back to buy that food.
Oh, whoa! I did not know. Oh, yikes!
It's people don't really understand how much of a scam this is. It hasn't done anything other than divide men and women to the point to where you don't even look for the true value in the person anymore. It's like you fog up a person's window and they driving hoping that they don't hit anything. I don't rock with it. I need to know who I'm talking to. I need to take time. I'm not impatient. Atlanta, Georgia reported 100, no, not 100, I'm sorry, 1 million cases of HIV just recently. 1 million. Guess what? Guess what? They didn't date, they didn't vet properly. Guarantee you they didn't. But they probably operated under this new system of hooking up that doesn't require much effort other than pay to play, however that looks to you, and look at where we at now. So I don't know. I'm good on all of it. All of it.
Yeah. It's just and then wasn't there unfortunately another outbreak from the cruise? Isn't there some the virus going around through that or from that?
The hantavirus, which is caused by rat infestations. You can only get that disease from touching things that have been saturated in mice urine or touched their poop. So it's not even people to people. It's literally because the cruise ships are so nasty that people are coming in contact with infected rats and mice. Like, another reason not to go on cruises besides spending $1,000 for a ticket and then additional like $2,000 for the week to get food and whatever.
Somebody just sent me a clip the other day. I'm gonna have to figure out how to. I would pull it up. Matter of fact, I could, but it's talking about Hansa being a scam. It's one of those conspiracy theory videos. We don't have to go into that, but I'll if I can clip the link, I'll email it or something and you can watch it. But I want to get to this last portion of the show. Stefon Diggs and Cardi B have reunited, and it brought the question: do people have past relationships, past hookups that they hold on to if things don't work out for them with the next person. Like I titled it "Favorite Eater" because basically what they're saying is your favorite sex partner. That's what they talking about. That's really what it is. Cardi B and Stephon Diggs have a awful history. He is pretty much sleeping with whoever he can sleep with. Cardi is already still married to Offset. They got kids. It's just messy. And then so it's like, all right, well, what are we doing with this? Did Cardi go back to him because of the sex? Is it because he's a good person? Is it because of the money? Is it just because it's toxic? Like, what are we doing with this? Do people really do it? I have my answer. I just want to know what y'all think about it.
When I saw them back together, I thought, oh, here we go again. This ain't gonna last. You know what I mean? It's just convenience. I mean, because they really don't need each other. They're toxic for each other. You know, like they're toxic and they don't like they're self-sufficient. So I just look at it as convenience. But hey, you know, when you know someone, it's that whole familiarity, you know, the convenience, it's comfortable, the fallback. But yeah, I hope, you know, prove me wrong, please. You know, we'll see how long it'll last. But yeah, I just think it's convenience.
I think it's also, to a degree, possibly FOMO, where like she feels like, oh, well, what if I made a mistake? What if I like, because when you're in a stressful situation, when you have kids, when you're dealing with whatever else she's dealing with, it's common for people to basically look at past situations and be like, well, what if? Like, I should have. If I did that, what would my life have actually looked like? And she might be looking at his life and being like, I wish I had that again. Like, so there could be an element of she just, grass is greener on the other side, like fantasizing about the past, because especially with humans, when we think about the past, we tend to romanticize things because our brains like latch on to the positives, but then they tend to forget about the negatives. That's why there's a higher risk for people in abusive relationships to go back to those abusive partners, because they'll basically like they'll feel that longing for what was familiar so strongly that they're willing to forget about what actually was happening to them when they were in that situation, and they forget about the negative feelings that they had. Same with addiction. Like, that's why people will relapse onto things, because they'll forget about the negative impacts of that addiction that they had. And so I think there could also be an element of that, where she's just like romanticizing the past, and oh, it was better days before I had kids, before things were crazy, before whatever. So it could also be that it could be finances, but I find it slightly hard to believe, because I'm pretty sure she's making good money already on her own. But I mean, you never know. Like, there's some really greedy people out there that just need more and more and more. I don't really know what the net worth of husband versus previous partner is, but I feel like it would more so be her nostalgia or her like FOMO or whatever he has that the husband doesn't have. And especially like once you become familiar with somebody, a relationship can go stagnant, especially if you're busy all the time and you don't really have enough time to work on your relationship. Like, you could feel tired of the person just because you're like in proximity with them all the time, and they're boring. Like, it's the same thing that happens with clothing. Like, if you wear something enough, you're gonna be like, oh, I don't want to keep wearing the same shirt. I need something new to freshen up my wardrobe. Like, it could be that kind of energy too, where it doesn't feel fresh anymore, so she needs something new. And as somebody who's a starlet in always needing to change outfits, to change personality, to change everything about her to stay relevant. It would make sense that she would fall into that trap where she needs something fresh and new. I mean, it's popular, it's common with celebrities. I mean, how many celebrities have we seen that are on their fifth, sixth marriage? So, and then I've seen so many celebrities that like marry one, divorce that one, then they go back to the other one, then they divorce that one and go back to the other one. I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm with y'all both, especially what you said, Sarah. This ain't gonna last long. I mean, you violating the covenant first and foremost. You ain't even wait till you got divorced. You ain't try to figure that out. I mean, come on, man. I don't care if you not sleeping with the person no more. You still married. Forget about what we think. You still under the eyes of God. You still husband and wife, and you out here doing all this stuff, and you expect to get anything healthy out of that? Like, you really expect to be happy? Granted, the money is there, cool. That don't mean nothing. You could be 3 times as rich as everybody on this planet, but you living in sin regardless. And I love it how people will try to say, "Oh, well, mind your business. Why is it bothering you? Why are you?" You know why? Because there are people who idolize Cardi B. There are people who dress like her. There are people who try to talk like her. That's why. And they go out here and they get in relationships and they try to repeat what she does. That's why. Or there are people like Stephon Diggs, who was a serial cheater, or he used hypergamy to his advantage. So if you are one of these select few females who think that happiness and all of your joys is going to come from a multimillionaire solely based off of that alone, good, there you go. It's absolutely disgusting and gross. And quite frankly, they're no different than Papoose and Clarissa Shields. You're going to get screwed by people. Sean, what up? What up? What up? What up?
Bang, bang.
You're going to
bang,
get scrutinized by people. You're public. You're a public figure. People made you who you are. They live in them nice houses and drive them cars because of the fans. Their name has importance because of the fans. So every single thing that you do, you're going to get examined for it. I'm not judging it. I'm just observing. And what I'm seeing is it definitely is FOMO. I think it's lazy. I think that for you and people like Lotto to get into relationships with, think about this: Lotto, pregnant by a married man. Cardi B, pregnant by a guy who has run through half of the NFL cheerleaders probably. Chris Brown. I can go on and on with a long list of people that do it, and y'all still look at these rappers and things of that nature with so much admiration. Is pathetic. So as far as I'm concerned, no, it's not going to go very far. I don't feel bad for her. I don't feel bad for him. If you really wanted love and you wanted a solid foundation, this ain't the way to do it. Please explain to me, somebody, how you building on someone else's foundation. It's like you trying to put a house inside a house. You can add on to the house, but it's still not your house. Your name is not on the lease. I don't know. Yeah.
It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Like definitely the examples out the window, because everyone's just like, what? Well, I look at it as, it's a horrible image. You're setting no example at all. You're allowing, trash, or you're just building on what you had prior. You just, okay, we're just going to go, okay, here we go again. Let's see how long it's going to go, or how far it's going to, how far can we, or how far is it going to, how good is the show you're going to put on for us, at the end of the day? Because I'm sitting back, I'm going, my question is like, why? You've got how many people in the world? You know what I mean? Or at least work on each other, and then maybe work together, and then try to mend. But then, hey, it's all for show. That's how I look at it. It's all watch me, look at me. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And unfortunately, people love that, People like that kind of style. People like that look. People like that just way of life. And unfortunately, it's just, it's all for show.
What Honey said too, people aren't starting over, they're building onto the trauma. Like, people don't do reflection, they don't do thought work like we used to. People don't have a lot of downtime between working and stressing out and having social media, having mobile games and video games, and feeling like you have to keep up with everybody, online shopping. Like, very, very few people give themselves space in the day to just think, to not be listening to music, to not to truly let your thoughts come out, to truly understand your feelings. You have to give yourself a lot of actual quiet time during the day, like where you can't be watching something, you can't be listening to things, you can't be engaging in other things. But we're such a multitasking society that few people actually have that chance to understand themselves too. And when you jump from relationship to relationship and you do not have an understanding of your underlying self, both with what you need from another person, but also what you need in yourself. Because if you yourself are not stable, if you have issues, like you have commitment issues, you have emotional issues, you don't know how to manage your own budget, you don't know how to manage your emotions, you're not going to make very successful choices when you're getting into a relationship, because that only escalates the type of negative behaviors that come out if you do not have that type of control of yourself. I like, even from personal experience, when I was in my very early 20s, I had only just started the journey to understand how to manage my emotions. Like, full disclosure, I have borderline personality disorder, which makes me very reactive in relationships if I don't put a lot of thought into my behavior. And if I allow myself to respond in the moment, sometimes I can say things that are really stupid because I'm not thinking at all. And if I didn't take the time to build my awareness and understanding of that condition, what triggers it, how to step back from that, how to moderate my emotions, my relationship would not be successful in the way that it has. Because part of we had our own issues. Like, our relationship hasn't been skating on smooth ice. Like, he had to learn how to manage himself when dealing with my issues. I had to learn how to manage myself in the face of his issues. And we had to work together as a team to understand how to best work with each other in a way that actually accomplishes the purpose of whatever we're arguing about, and how to just not like blow up at each other just because we're in an emotionally fragile state. And again, a lot of people are not doing that work. There's a lot of people out there that have personality disorders, that have untreated mental illnesses, that have addiction problems, have, you name it, all sorts of behavioral problems. And when you put two people that have behavioral problems together, it does not end well. We wonder why the divorce rate is over 50% at this point, and why abusive relationships are so common. It's because you have people that have no awareness at all of psychology and how to work with themselves, how to work with other people, how to have problem solving, solution oriented decision making. And we have more people now that are just like, nope, I feel that way, and that's the way it's going to be. That's all I have to say. We're done. I'm closing the doors. I'm not going to. And that type of behavior is really only going to build resentment. It's only going to you're going to ruin your relationship, because you're going to shut yourself off from that person, and they're not going to be able to learn how to get better in the future. And I think a lot of people, we're also kind of in an ultimatum culture now, where it's like, if you have one mistake, that's it. They're done. They're not willing to work with you. They're not willing to allow you to grow past it. They're not willing to understand you, and vice versa. People are not like, I feel this way, and so you have to respond the way that I want you to respond. And all of these different behaviors make it incredibly hard to lead positive relationships, because it makes us essentially combatants in every relationship we're in, whether it's a friendship, romantic relationship, even work relationships. We're getting far more dysfunctional because we have no awareness of managing ourselves, managing our emotions, managing things that are very difficult. And as life gets more and more stressful, with all of these other elements added in to the mix, it's just a recipe for disaster. And it's no surprise that we see so many relationships just ending like that, because we literally don't know how to get along with each other.
Yeah, my final thoughts on this entire thing, from the first clip to this one. First, I want to address the dating pool, wherever you may be at right now. If you are playing this I'm gonna get you before you get me game, it's only going to end one or two ways. And social media has provided us every example that it possibly could with your type. We've seen it over again. It doesn't work. But if you want to continue to play this game, go ahead. You can fall into the account with the million that will forever be stricken with a virus that they cannot get rid of. On top of spiritual implications and other aspects as well. Keep on playing this. Oh, if you only think that I'm only good for sex, then you're going to have to come up all for this and that. Keep doing it. See how far it gets you. People who like you do not put you through this on both sides. People who have ulterior motives always put up walls and hurdles that you have to climb in order to get to what you're ultimately desiring. It's time for people to start doing better with their vetting process. Celebrities are not your mentors. Can I say that again? Celebrities are not your mentors. Okay?
They only want your money. They don't care about how you are. And dysfunction makes them money.
I was just going to say they're entertainers. That's it. They're there to entertain you. Period. And I'm gonna say this, Sarah. If you got anything you want to say, I'm gonna give it to you. Shout outs to Honey Airwords, my man Sean who pulled up. If you are still taking any type of advice from celebrities, it better be on what not to do. You shouldn't be listening to nothing else. That's all I'm gonna say. The floor is yours if you want to say anything.
I don't like watching, or I'm not going to take advice if they're a mess. You know what I mean? If it's messy or if it's ugly. Okay, I understand we're humans, we make mistakes. You know, but let's address it. Let's work on it. Let's fix it. You know, let's find a solution, opposed to keep it messy and, you know, make it bigger than what it should be, like in a sense of like the ultimatums or the constant hurting or the constant bickering and the backwards and forwards. And I'm just like, that's not healthy. You know, long term, it's just like, and any right mind, why would you put yourself through that? But unfortunately, people thrive off that. People love that type of commotion. They want that, you know, they kind of thrive off it. They kind of get it, you know, if it's like, it's not explosive or if it's not nothing, you know, they'll make something, you know, make it happen. Like in a way of like, oh, everything's so good. Let me find something so I can nitpick or, you know, create a fight. And I'm just like, yeah, that's not right. That's not healthy. You know what I mean? Like as I said, it's just, and why be with someone like that? But hey, what's that expression? Different strokes for different folks, or different folks for different strokes? One of those ones. But you know, yeah. So, and if you really care for someone, you wouldn't put someone through all that. At the end of the day, you don't do that. This is your way of saying I care for you, I want to be with you, but at the same time I want to beat you down. No, and more no.
Shout outs.
Just one throw in, if you need any advice for relationships, look to people that have been married for 40 to 50 years. Talk to them, ask them what they did, ask them, like, get their advice, because those are the ones that truly understand what it takes to make a relationship work. Don't be asking your friends that have been in a relationship for 6 months, or don't be looking at celebrities that have been divorced 4 times. Look at the people that have done it right.
Yes.
Those are the ones that have a down-to-earth perspective on how to make things work.
Yeah. Have a healthy approach, healthier understanding. You know what I mean? Yeah, those are the prime examples, you know, you would want, which, you know, you should be looking up to them. Like, okay, what's the secret sauce? How you guys managed to stay with each other for this long? You know what I mean? I'm sure you guys want to, like, walk out the door. Yeah. But tell me, what are you guys doing differently that, unfortunately, in this day and age, you're lucky to get past 6 months? You know what I mean? But yeah, as I said, everyone's got their own ways, and you know, I don't want to say it, but it's like hidden agendas and motives, and what can I get from you, or what can I benefit from you? And I'm just like, just even thinking about it and even talking about it, it's exhausting. You know, I just thought, oh my gosh, you know, that's how you see me. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, nah, let me just step away. Like, I'd rather do something positive, you know, give back, you know, opposed to be in a toxic relationship or be with a partner where we're at each other's heads, like bumping heads all the time. You know what I mean? I love talking and coming across, you know, couples that have been together for, you know, 20 plus years and still holding hands and they still go on their date nights. And I'm like, that's so good to see. That still happens. You know what I mean? So, but yeah.
Sarah, Sydney, 2 S's.
Yes.
I appreciate it. I know we had a little bump in the road at the beginning of it, but we closed out strong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yes, we did.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you for being a part of this stream tonight, this conversation. Fire exchange of thought. Sydney is always. Matter of fact, I gotta say this: both of y'all type fast as hell. I was looking at the comments section. I was looking at the private chat, like, oh, okay, we got another one. That's what's up. That helps me out because the comment section, I type slow as hell. I be wanting to respond to y'all, but I type slow as hell. Sydney will pick up right then and there and I'm like, all right, I appreciate that. So salutes to you, salutes to everybody in the chat. We got more conversations to come. I'm looking forward to them. I'm grateful for you guys. I hope you enjoy your weekends, everyone. Just in case I don't get to chop it up with y'all tomorrow, because you know I'm constantly moving. But yeah, enjoy y'all night. Do me a solid before you go.
What's the goddamn button?
Hope to see you again. That was a fun conversation.
Have a good night. Stay safe.
Bye, Iris.
Bye.
Peace.
The flow insane, take my spot, so the range, shoot my shot with perfect aim, 3rd degree, that perfect flame, ain't no sleep, that's the game, oh so southern, that's the slang, when they see me, that's the main, chasing checks and fly like planes, big old stick, I bought a cane,